Hi everyone, you join me here today at Boddington Reservoir near Daventry, where I'm going to be balling in for roach. So balling it in for roach, that's been done over and over again. Everyone knows about rigs, feeding, mixes, stuff like that. So I thought I'd do a little bit different and talk about how you tailor your approach to the size of fish you're catching. Two sort of ideas that I think really influences the rest of the day and how you put it forward. And for me, it's the idea that small roach, they're stupid and they're hungry. Big roach, they're clever. If you think about it in those two separate ways and tailor your approach to that, then you can get far more success out of your balling in. Right, I've sat down on peg 10 here at Boddington, which, funnily enough, is not actually a venue I've ever fished for roach before. So I'm going a little bit on a bit of information that I found out from social media and some friends who fished it. And I've got one rig out to start off with, and I've got about 7 foot of water. And looking at all the catch pictures and what everyone's saying, the roach seemed to be quite a big stamp here. So that's the first decision, really, on rigs I'm going to get out. In 7 foot of water, if I'm fishing for small fish, remember, small fish hungry, small fish stupid, I wouldn't think twice about getting a rig out as heavy as 1.5 grams or maybe even 2 grams with a heavy elastic and a big hook. Whereas I'm fishing for far bigger roach today. I think in 7 foot of water I might be fishing more like 3/4 gram, which is about half the size of them fish a smaller hook and a larger elastic. So first off, you think, well, why do that? That's kind of the wrong way round, isn't it? Surely, bigger fish use bigger rigs, bigger hooks, bigger line, bigger elastic. But no. Think about it this way. Big roach, clever. So you need light rigs, small hooks, and then finer elastics to compensate. Small roach, stupid. So you can fish a nice, heavy rig, big hook, and a heavier elastic. Catch as many of them as you can, as quick as you can, almost kind of pop them out like corks. You don't need to net as many, and because they're not so educated, you can get away with that cruder gear. By fishing with that cruder gear, you're going to end up catching hopefully a bigger stamp of fish by the end of the day. Right, now that's rig sorted, bait ready, time to think about the initial feed. So ground bait choice, that could be a separate video all in itself. I could go on for hours about ground bait choice, so let's keep it nice and simple. I've just got a ground bait mix that it's nice and generic, just ideal for these big venues. It's just brown crumb and gross gardons. So, but what I really do want to talk about though is what I put in that ground bait. Now, for the initial feed for small fish, again, small fish hungry. There'll be lots of particles in there, hemp, casters, maybe some dead maggots, maybe even some pinkies if I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult or need to draw fish in. But yeah, lots and lots of bait to try and draw in as many fish as possible. And that's going to be in my initial consignment of 10, 12 or even 15 balls of ground bait. However, fishing for bigger roach, again, it's quite possible I'll also put in 10 or even 15 balls of ground bait. However, what I put in that ground bait is going to be different in that I'm likely to add again casters and hemp and maggots or even a few dead pinkies, but it's the quantity that's important. So these big fish, they don't need to feed all the time. So if you put in a large quantity of bait, they can come look at it and think, well, I'm not really hungry now, there's loads of bait there, I'll come back later and eat it. A small fish doesn't have that choice. It's hungry and it's hungry all the time. That's why you need to feed a lot of bait for smaller fish and not so much bait in your initial balls for these bigger fish. Right, so we've covered the rigs now and the initial feeding. It's then to work out how to read the session as you go along and how you end up then topping up. Obviously you can't cover every kind of scenario on every kind of water. You could end up throwing a ball of chuck at them, you could end up loose feeding. There's infinite number of ways that the session could pan out, but top tip to start off with is just to try and don't do anything with the peg, just fish over your ground bait, try and feel your way in, catch a few fish and get a bit of an idea of what it's like and how many fish are there before you start doing anything else. With your top ups, if it was a venue full of small fish, then I'd be inclined to feed quite big top ups with a lot of feed in. However, with bigger fish you tend to feed less often. Big fish don't want lots of top ups, it unsettles them. When you do top up, probably don't feed too much either, because again, big fish clever, small fish greedy and hungry. I hope you've picked up a few tips today, giving you a few things to think about with your own roach fishing and ways of fine-tuning your balling in method. It doesn't just have to be like a one-trick pony. You don't have to do the same thing wherever you go. You really want to fine-tune it and tailor it to the fish that you think are in front of you. If you remember just one thing from this video, think big roach, clever, small roach, hungry and stupid. I hope you've enjoyed it.